Hey, welcome to the Memorizing Pharmacology podcast. I'm Tony Guerra, your host. Always check the show notes to see if there's a link. You may be able to get one of the Memorizing Pharmacology books for free if you've never been an Audible member before. And again, the best way to succeed in pharmacology class is to have already taken pharmacology. And any of these books can be listened to in a weekend or a week of going back and forth. So with that, welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the Memorizing Pharmacology podcast. I wanted to talk a little bit about this Reddit post where a student failed out of nursing school because they failed both pharmacology and pathophysiology. And the way that it works is they needed a 78% to pass, and they got a 70 in both classes, which traditionally, you pass with a C, and that's a C minus or something like that. And what happened though is that the school doesn't let you fail more than one class. And so I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, why it happens in these two classes, because it tends to be patho and pharm, and what you can do about it, and then what you can do to really prevent it. So, first things first, tremendous empathy to someone who has the courage to, take 3 tries to get admitted to a school, and then struggles in this way. So it's a really strange thing to say it's better to get, let's say you're taking 5 classes, which I think she was, but it's better to get 5 77s than it is to get 4 A's and 1 70. And certainly to get, 3 A's and 2 70s. And what is, I feel like, a little bit difficult first is taking pharm and patho in first semester when you haven't really kind of gotten a hold of what's going on with professional school and how you really want to adjust. That's pretty tough. I find that it's a lot easier to get prepared for pharmacology than it maybe is to get prepared for pathophysiology. So pathophysiology, again, it really kind of depends on how strong your anatomy and physiology courses were. And then with pharmacology, you can do a couple of things. You can actually take pharmacology before pharmacology, and you can also study it through some books and things like that. So in this episode, I just wanted to kind of talk about, first of all, there's a lot of positive vibes to comfort this student, but let me just kind of talk a little bit about what I've got going on now. So for the new NGN NCLEX, I created a playlist on YouTube, and you can just always listen to the podcast, but what's going to happen is I'm going to have so many episodes that it's going to start getting a little bit mired. And this way you can just kind of either see what the episodes are and make your own playlist, or you can just kind of go down the playlist to make sure that you're getting all the pieces that you need. So it's just called NGN NCLEX Memorizing Pharmacology Playlist on Tony PharmD. And, again, free to anybody. You're welcome to use it. And I'll continue to build this out over the summer and should be done by August, where I feel really comfortable about having a ton of information on there for you. If you just want a book to help you out, it kind of depends. If you're like the student who is going into first semester pharmacology, the way Audible does it is you can just get the book for free, and if you don't like Audible in the first 30 days, you can cancel, no questions asked. And then they charge you like $15 a month. So it's really just, do you want to have those extra books? Do you want to have access to, you don't just get the books you buy, you also get a ton of other books that you're able to get to. So it kind of just depends if you're somebody that is a commuter or somebody that has a lot of time, not a lot of time, but a lot of time where they are commuting or working out or those types of things, and audio works for you. So Memorizing Pharmacology, the second edition or the first edition. First edition is just one that people just like, the narrator. Again, I kept a British narrator with the second edition, but some people still prefer the first. And then Memorizing Pharmacology Mnemonics if you're a little bit more advanced, or maybe you're going into maybe you're going into PA school or you're going into pharmacy school and the brand names are really a big deal. that could also be one for you. And then if you want something really short, it's only like 3 hours, Goodnight Farm. I'll give you 350 branded generic names. It's really more just the mnemonics, but there's one more where, it's 18 hours of pharmacology if you really want that. And that's Questions, Answers, and Rationales, books 1 to 7. So, the first step, maybe just, take the free book for, a couple of weeks, listen to it. The books are, usually like 6 or 7 hours. So it's reasonable that you could finish in that time and decide, you don't want to continue, and that's fine. If you want something a little bit more, you can do the Self-Paced Pharmacology course. It's got the quizzes and the videos, and that's really for someone that feels like they don't need a full, preparatory course like out of college, but they still want to have the videos, they still want to have quizzes, they still want to have something that kind of continues on with that. And then the last is really if you want to have the accountability of actually having a class. In summer, it's only 10 weeks, so it's pretty quick. It goes middle of May to just beginning of August. And that's PHR 185, Pharmacology at DMACC. Again, it doesn't matter what state you're in. It's online tuition, so there's no charges for being out of state, or I don't even think there's charges for being out of country. So if you're in Canada and want to do these, you can do them as well. But just email me if you've got a question at aaguerra@dmacc.edu. Happy to help you. You really just click in to become a guest student. It takes a day. There's no transcripts or anything like that. It's just I'm here for one class, or I'm here for 1 or 2 classes. And this can help you. And I've said it over and over, but really to succeed at pharmacology, you have to have taken pharmacology. And really this is just saying, imagine if, you instead of just going right into a medical Spanish class, for example, you actually got to go to Spain or Latin America or Mexico for a couple of weeks. And instead of just taking a class, you were actually reading the signs and going and ordering things and talking with people about the words, and then you took the class. And that's what these books and what the courses and all that is about, is that when you get into the class, then it's a lot easier because you've already seen it before. Now, the bigger thing that nobody ever talks about is the time suck. And what I mean is like a vacuum, like where what happens is that you will have maybe 4 or 5 classes, usually 5 classes. And there's an expectation that you're going to have, okay, I've got this much time in the day. I'm going to divide those classes by 5, and I'll spend X number of hours on it. Only to find that sometimes pharmacology and pathophysiology are taking twice as much time as the other classes, and that you didn't really budget for that amount of time with your family, with your work, and all those things. And so what taking pharmacology ahead of time, or if you could find a patho course, those are a lot harder to find. If you took a pharmacology class ahead of time, what it does is it frees up that extra time, and instead of you being the one that's kind of falling behind in all your classes, you're actually ahead, and pharmacology actually becomes your superpower. So this sounds strange, but imagine instead of going into the NCLEX dreading the 16% that you can have in pharmacology, and the other way around, you're like, oh, cool, a pharmacology question, I know these. And that you're already 16% into the exam, and that you're like, okay, well, I know I can get this 16%, no problem. So it really can be that way, because what happens is if you're ahead, then you're able to help the other students. When you help the other students, you go from what is an absorption rate of around 10 to 15% with lecture to about 90% when you're teaching someone else how to do it. So the big thing, I should call it like the online jumpstart pharmacology class, but that might just get too weird. But I think that, I know for sure that those students that have either read the book, gone into the courses, and taken pharmacology after they've already had pharmacology are moving about 11 points. So if they were going to get a 77, they would get like an 88 or something like that. So about 11 points is what would have been a little bit different when you talk about taking that course. So again, if you've got questions, you know where to get me, but I just wanted to kind of put this in there before I get on to the next clinical topic. Again, I'm sorry if you failed patho, and failing pharm and patho is just brutal. But really it's, did you take pharmacology before pharmacology in some way? And if you've taken a little bit of time to learn the language, you're not going to get behind, you're going to get ahead, and you're going to have opportunities to help others. Thanks for listening to the Memorizing Pharmacology podcast. You can find episodes, cheat sheets, and more at memorizingpharm.com. Again, you can sign up for the email list at memorizingpharm.com to get your free suffixes cheat sheet, or find our mobile-friendly, self-paced online pharmacology review course at residency.teachable.com/p/mobile. Thanks again for listening.